アメリカの物価高はコロナパンデミック以降の複雑な要因が重なり、現在も生活に大きな影響を与えています。主な原因は賃金上昇と労働力不足、住居費の高騰、トランプ関税による輸入製品の価格向上などがあります。今回の動画ではアメリカの物価高に焦点を当てて、アメリカ人の物価高に対する考えを見ていきます。
Every year I put together my number, which is what I need to make every month just to exist. And this year, it's high. Okay, so let me get this straight. Per month, $2,152 for housing by itself. This includes the mortgage, taxes, flood insurance, which doesn't do anything, as I learned firsthand, and home insurance. So that's over $2,000 a month just to own a house. Off to a great start. Now let's go to the bills. Utilities. This includes water, sewage, and garbage. This is $260 a month on average. I tried saving water. It doesn't make a difference. The bill just keeps going up every month, so I've completely given up. Energy bill. This goes up and down throughout the year, but the average is about $200 a month. Health insurance. This is way different for everybody, but for me this year, I'm paying $363 a month. This, of course, is for the lowest possible plan that I can have. After all this, I have internet, which is $85 a month. That's up 100% since 5 years ago. I pay someone to cut the lawn $75 a month, which is actually a great deal. This puts my grand total of just existing every month at $3,387. And mind you, this is before food. This is before clothes. This is before going to a gym. This is literally just breathing and existing. That's $40,644 a year. And on top of all that, I can't just make $40,000 and pay it off. I have to make an extra 30% because I have to pay taxes. So that means to pay taxes and all of my bills, no groceries or nothing, I have to make $4,400 a month. This is $52,000 a year to exist. That just doesn't, I can't do that. Does anyone else feel like that is just completely unattainable? So I'm just curious, like, what your number is a month.
I got a letter recently that my property taxes are going to go up $600 a year from now on. I got a letter that my homeowner's insurance is going up $60 a month. My propane company sent me a letter that my propane is going to double this year. They just came and filled up my tank. It was $1,000. That's crazy. Also, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I get my health insurance through the marketplace. So you have the Affordable Care Act. I pay $45 a month. They just informed me that if this bill passes and I lose my tax credit, I'm going to go from $45 a month to $660 a month for health insurance. I need to buy a new car and I can't because the cars have gotten more expensive and the interest rates have gotten so much more expensive. I can't find a reliable car that has the same monthly payment of $450 a month that I've been paying now for a new car. Not necessarily new, but new to me. Groceries are insane, and it feels like every day I get a new email from another subscription that I have, whether it's Netflix, my website subscription, everything's increasing in price. And I sit pretty much every day stressed about money, and yet I know that there are so many people in this country that are way worse off than me, and they're not making it, y'all. They're not making it. What hurts me the most is that there are so many women, especially, that just cannot afford to leave abusive homes and they have to stay in it because of this economy. So are we great again, America? Like, is this what you voted for? Meanwhile, they all sit there in DC, not feeling any of these pressures, not doing anything about it, not giving a shit about the American people. I have been extremely poor and I have been extremely wealthy. And I know from firsthand experience that the wealthy people don't notice it. And most people are pretty self-absorbed and aren't thinking about other people anyway. So we got to talk about this more. We got to raise hell. We have to let DC know that this is not acceptable. Regardless of your party, we have got to help each other.
$17.33. That's how much I paid today for this coffee. I'm here and I'm just adding some numbers together and doing my budget because you know what? Today I asked my husband, where's the money? We're making the best we've ever made. Both earners, both incomes, good incomes and everything. And we don't have money. We're living paycheck to paycheck basically. So I put the numbers together and I decided to look at my budget. On June the 2nd, 2023, and I'm going to try to insert somewhere here the the photo. I took a shot of, how much I paid for it. On June the 2nd, 2023, the same exact coffee was $9.92. It's almost doubled in 2 years. Of course, my salary hasn't doubled. My income has not doubled. It went up a little bit, but certainly nowhere near that. And I don't know where my money goes. Every month, I'm struggling.
Bro, how are people making it? If you making $30 an hour, it's weird to ask that, but how are you making it? After you pay your rent, $1,500 a month, that's on the low side. Car note, $500 a month. Phone bill, $100 a month. Insurance, gas, food, electricity, health insurance, all these day-to-day expenses. How are people making it? You do the math and you come back and tell me what the numbers look like for you. Because a person can make $30 an hour and is going to struggle. I can only imagine making $15 an hour. You cannot live on that. No, you cannot. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot live on $15 or $30 an hour, or you're gonna stay broke. Convince me different.
Now I'm gonna say something that may ruffle a lot of feathers, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I personally think that having kids right now, especially if you're a young person, is at best illogical and at worst borderline negligent. And I do not mean that in a judgmental way. I'm just speaking the facts. Let's look at the world that we're living in right now. We live in a world where there's, people can barely afford their rent. People can't really afford to buy groceries. If people can't even afford to support themselves, how can they afford to support another human being? It just doesn't make sense to me. Aside from the economic factors that make raising a kid hard, you also got to take into, account societal expectations as well. If you're a woman thinking about having kids, there's a high likelihood that you're going to be the one that's solely responsible for raising the kid, despite having a partner. You're most likely going to be the one feeding and cleaning up after the kid, taking the kid to the doctor, and just basically being the primary caregiver for that child with pretty much no help. So taking all that into account, having a kid right now does not seem like the greatest idea. We live in a world that is burning from climate change. We don't even know what the world's going to look like in the next decade or so. We're living in a world where wealth inequality is at the highest it's ever been. The common man is struggling. So having a kid right now, bringing a kid into that world, I don't know. It just feels kind of negligent to me. But let me know what you think. And like I said, I'm not coming from a place of judgment. I just want some understanding.
As a Londoner living in the US, this is the greediest country I have ever lived in. So here's a list of things I've had to pay for which make no sense and would send the European mind into absolute psychosis. Let's kick it off strong with number 1. I pay processing fees for my rent. I pay my rent and then I pay $6 to process my rent. Why am I paying you money to take my money? Now the next thing is I didn't realize how expensive healthcare actually is. But one day I had a really bad toothache and I went to the emergency room. First mistake. They scanned my insurance card, put me in a queue, and when I finally get to see a doctor, he looks at my tooth and says, yeah, we can't actually help you. You need to go see a dentist tomorrow morning. I said, cool. 2 weeks go by, I get my bill. $600. Luckily, I had insurance, so I paid $120. But think about this for a second. I paid $120 for a doctor to tell me he can't help me. Now, this one takes me off beyond my imagination. I stayed at the Intercontinental Hotel in Chicago, stayed there for 2 nights for around $200 a night, plus I paid for valet parking. But when I got my bill, the numbers just weren't adding up. On top of all the money and taxes I paid, they still charged me a $32 resort fee. What is a resort fee? And when I'm asking the receptionist what is a resort fee, nobody can answer my question. And what's even worse is it's not a flat fee, it's $32 per night. The next one was kind of annoying. I got my car towed, $350. Pro tip, do not let your car stay there overnight. Now the next one is tip culture, and since living here I've learned to leave a 10% tip. But think about this for a second. Your boss is so greedy that he doesn't pay you not a livable wage, doesn't pay you a survivable wage, then guilt trips us, his customers, into covering the rest of your wage for you. The level of greed you need to have to even think of that concept is literally something only Mr. Krabs would do. Now honestly guys, this list is 25 things long, so if you want to see a part 2 or you like content on finance, make sure to drop me a follow. Peace.